there's things that you can learn. And even if you didn't want to do it yourself, you can get your son or your daughter, or you can hire someone. You'd be amazed what you can get done. There's a lot of opportunity to do stuff like this. So my website, I get a ton of business through my website, more than half. And I build my website on WordPress. WordPress is an open source platform. What does open source mean? It means it's free. It doesn't cost you any money to create a WordPress. You have to host it, which will cost you like $5 a month to host it. But the actual software is free. So don't feel too intimidated. You can set up a website easier than you think to get something up on the web. Look at this, just a couple of statistics. Just again, these are the little tweaks that can make a huge difference. Blog posts formatted as lists get twice as many links from other websites. What does that mean? The top 5 questions to ask, the 8 mistakes people make, the 8 lessons of our square dance class, right? All those, any lists, people love lists. Okay? If you add an image, you get 3 times as many links on average. People study hundreds of thousands of websites and look at the correlations. Right? If you add a video, you get 5 times as many links. Very simple stuff. So for me, blog posts with videos are 50 times more likely to be on the first page of Google. Incredible. Embedding a video on your website makes a huge difference. So for me, I did a video blog, which I told you about before, and I post these 1 a week. And immediately the rankings on my website improved, which is one of the reasons why I get more business, is because I show up more.
What program do you use for that?
It's just WordPress.
No, for the videos.
I just post them on YouTube. What program do I use for my video blog? I just create videos using a camera almost exactly like this one. And I bring them in. Oh, like what video editing software? There's lots of video editing software, but the one that comes for free with Windows is called Movie Maker. It's very basic. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but I use that one. It works just fine. So there's lots of options to do stuff like that. So you don't need to buy expensive software. Okay. Blog posts with images get 94% more traffic. Incredible. Put images on immediately, you're going to get twice as much traffic on average. So encourage people to take photos in your dance class, or maybe it's you who's doing it, right? Whether it's a class or whether it's just a dance, get people to take video, get people to take photos. So those photos are gold. Selfies. I mean, is that feasible, or are there people at the dance who are like, I want to be on a photo? Yep. They do take pictures. And do they share these pictures?
Yes. Yeah.
A little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Could they do it more?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, just get it out there. Maybe make an announcement before the dance or at the end. I don't know how, the ones, if you guys make announcements, I don't know. But encourage people. We want to get the word out. Please share photos. Right? Please share things with your friends on Facebook or whatever. This is pretty interesting too. I just threw it in there. They studied 20,000 different keyword phrases. And on average, the top 10 ranked pages on Google were 2,000 words in length. So the more content, the better. If you write long content, you rank better. This is a blogging checklist. Again, you don't need to, these are little things. You can reverse engineer it, right? We know what works. So if you ever wanted to do something like that, just follow the checklist, and you're ahead of like 90% of the other people trying to do it. Just by making sure you include a picture and include a video, make sure it's a long post, include some lists. That's the kind of stuff can go a long way. All right. I'm not going to do this slide because I just don't think it's. All right, so here's what's changing, okay? And this is the we're closing out, okay? And we'll have a little bit of time for questions tomorrow. I got some great stories actually. I can't wait to share some of those. But what's changing, okay? And you can look back like 1,000 years, okay? People have always looked at the source of information first, and then the content, okay? So just hear me out on this. Oh, it was on the evening news? Okay, it must be important. Okay. Or, oh, you went to Harvard? Okay, I'll trust you. Or it's in the New York Times? It must be true. Okay, or whatever. Wall Street Journal. Okay, I don't care about the politics. Okay, seriously, I don't care about the politics. Believe me, politics in this country, boy. Anyway, it's a money game. Anyway. So you had that, people looked at the source of information first. Where did this come from? And they evaluated that before they even looked at the content. Okay? They had to pass the first test first before people looked at the content. That's what's changed today. Right? People are looking at the content first today. We've all been on Facebook, or most of us have, where we've seen a video or a photo on Facebook and we see the content before we know who created it. Okay? Guys, that is a massive change. It's like a wholesale cultural shift in our society. It's really interesting to watch. So that means that anyone who creates good quality content, including you, and including people who take pictures at your dances, that content is as valid as any other potential source of content if the content is good. So if they take the picture and they bring it into Photoshop first and put a nice quote on it, right? That's as valid as something that was created by, you know, Martha Stewart or something. Right? Oprah, whatever. Like they created, it doesn't have to come from them. See, so our world or our economy is full of examples these days of like virtual nobodies that come up out of nowhere and they end up competing against established industry giants and winning. They're winning. These brand new newcomers are coming in and winning against industry giants because people are looking at the content first. They're not asking who created it. And seriously, the politics, I get, I grew up in Canada, and the politics down here is pretty hardcore. The bottom line is, that's how this guy won. And if you like him or hate him, that's your business. I don't care. It doesn't even affect this. The bottom line is, he was nobody. He was nobody. He was a community organizer, are you kidding? He was nobody. And in 6 years, he went from nobody to dominating his... How is that possible? It's possible because people looked at information differently. It never would have happened 40 years ago. There's no way. But it happened now. And he's not the only one in politics that's doing it. Ron Paul has got an unbelievable following. And that guy's on the fringe too, just on the opposite side. Okay? It's fascinating. And if you want another example of someone who came up out of nowhere to dominate their industry in a really short period of time, this is a pretty good example. This kid is a child of YouTube. He's a child of YouTube. I mean, he had no agent at the beginning. He had nothing. Guy had nothing. Canadian kids. And ends up, I mean, unbelievable. Came up out of nowhere. So it's pretty interesting, right? Like when you think about what some of these people are doing, it ends up, my whole presentation, it just boils down to what is your content? Like what content can you create? And it doesn't take much. A cool image with a nice quote, a fun video. It's simple. Just those two things is the whole thing right there. It's nice images and some fun videos. And you get those online, that's the kind of stuff that you can share on social media that it's got legs, right? It's got an opportunity to create an impact. And nothing you do is going to, I talk to a lot of self-employed people and solo practitioners and stuff like that. And one thing they kind of all unanimously have in common is that they all want to know like the 7 things that they need to do to be a millionaire by Thursday. You know what I mean? Like they have this mentality of like, I want it right away. What's the silver bullet that's going to make me a millionaire in like 2 weeks? It's not nothing. Nothing is that way. But if you get the content out there, you get it in front of those people, eventually, you know what's going to happen? People are going to show up one day and they're going to say stuff like, I've seen your posts for months, and I finally decided to come. That stuff happens to me. People call me to speaking places or whatever, and they're like, I've been following your video blog for months. I'm like, why didn't you think to call me months ago? But that's just the way it works, right? Because you got to build that trust. You got to go through that cycle, and over a period of time, their familiarity goes up, and eventually they cross that threshold. Remember quitting smoking? And all of a sudden, they're like, you know what? I'm going to go square dancing. So, anyway, fire away.
What's the middle one?
Oh, this right here?
Yeah.
That's delicious.
Ralston Reno.
Facebook, that's a blog. Twitter, delicious. WordPress, YouTube, LinkedIn. There's a million of them. Pinterest, and honestly, it's stupid. All this stuff, you can't keep up with it. It's a pain in the neck. I get tired of it myself. it drives me crazy. I got to update my slides every 2 weeks. I'm like, give me a break. It's changing the user interface and it hurts. But you can make money at it, and you can find people. And I've spoken in like Bangkok and Moscow, and I went to Dubai 3 times. I mean, it's insane, the stuff that you can do. It truly is insane, completely improbable. My life is a total example of it's insane. I'm going to Bogota next month. It's ridiculous. It's awesome, but it's crazy. All right.
Colombia.
Yes, sir.
You go to all these foreign countries and speak in English, and they
I speak English, and it's funny. A lot of times where here's my hack. Okay, in 2007 I sent a proposal to spoke at a conference in Sweden, and they accepted me, and I was like, oh my God, couldn't believe it. I never expected them to say yes. So I ended up going over there, and when I went there, listen to this. They told me the only reason they picked me is because I'm an American from Silicon Valley. Are you joking? There's 7 million people in that category, so it's nothing special here. But in Sweden, that's something special. I couldn't believe it. Think about your assets. I mean, this is an asset I never even knew I had. So then, I've got to finish this super quick. So, you know what else they told me? They told me I was the only American who submitted a proposal. Holy smokes. So seriously, think it through, right? I got credibility in Sweden because I was an American from Silicon Valley. Then I got home afterwards, and I got credibility at home because I spoke in Sweden. So I was like, I'm sold. And I started sending marketing all over the planet. Literally, like Kuala Lumpur and Santiago, Chile. I mean, you name it, I send stuff, like USPS, okay? I send stuff all over the place. And so my focus as a speaker has always been to speak in international locations because in doing so, that's what built my credibility here at home. Is that I've spoken in literally I spoke in Moscow and Bangkok and Dubai and Bahrain and all these bizarre, India. I mean, I've spoken all over the place. So anyway, there was a point to that. I don't even remember what it was.
The language. You have interpreters.
Oh yeah, they usually have a booth in the back, and a man or a woman or whatever is in there, and they translate, and people wear headphones. Guys, it's so insane. It's like I'm telling you, my life is. I have the best job, and I can't even imagine a better deal than the deal I have. I'm not a square dance caller, but
you just need to square dance, not be a caller. Learn to square dance.
Yeah. But he called the dance in Sweden. I couldn't believe it. I was like, so some of you travel calling dances. I think it's genius. I love it because that's what I do in my life. Anyway, this kind of stuff is to get folks there. So anyway, this is. Oh yeah, you have a question.
When you go to other
Microphone.
countries to speak, are you speaking on this book marketing, or do they give you a topic and you research it?
All right, so we got 2 minutes. I'll answer the question. And by the way, I'm in no rush. I'll stay here as long as anyone wants. I'll stay here as long as anyone wants me to answer questions. I just know that some of you probably have places you need to go. So her question was, when I speak in all these different places, do I always speak on this topic? Okay. Or I do other topics. So here's I have to kind of explain something quickly. So 2007 to 2011, social media was the talk of the town. Okay, it was the buzzword was social media. Okay, and it took me all over the world. Sweden, I spoke in Sweden myself, in Finland, and Portugal, all over. But then in 2012, social media kind of died. Okay, and if you go to a conference, there's general sessions and there's breakout sessions. Okay, and you don't make any money speaking at breakout sessions. You only make money in general sessions. And social media was a general session topic, but in 2012-ish, it kind of moved to the breakout circuit, and very few people are hiring general session speakers to speak on social media. So all of a sudden, 2012 was a difficult year for me, because all of a sudden, the demand for my primary topic was dropping, okay, or at least the amount of money people were willing to pay for it was dropping. Okay. So I had to diversify quickly, and I've done, most of my education is in economics, and I do a lot of demographic forecasting and stuff like that. So I broadened out to business trends, of which social media is one. And then big data is another, basically technology. And a third is demographic shifts and demographic global market analysis, which is something that that's a huge part of my business right now. Is you can regionally look at different countries and look at their differences. Like for example, the more young people you have, the more political volatility you have. Right? The more old people you have, the more strain on government resources for entitlement programs across the entire world. Right? You go to Germany and France, those guys mathematically are in a lot of trouble because there's a lot of old people and they have huge entitlement programs. It's mathematically, they're all going to hit the wall eventually because they just can't afford it. So they either have to make changes or not. So, you know, and Japan is, they've got huge problems in Japan because they have tons of older people. So anyway, I speak more about 30% of my business is big data, probably maybe 50% is the demographic work that I do. And then social media I still love because that's basically what led to my own career moving forward. But I don't get an opportunity to talk about it as much as I used to. But guys, I'm super grateful that you stayed here for 2 hours and listened to me. I've got 37 books. It's like one. I'd be thrilled for you to make it so my suitcases are lighter. That's up to you. And tomorrow morning, I think we got a dance tonight too. And I'm going to come, so I want to learn. So.